So welcome to iQU Connections, everyone. This is our monthly podcast where we sit down to have a conversation with interesting people and their interesting stories. There's no set agenda to this. This is just meant to be an opportunity to hear someone's story and then take from it what you can, then apply to your own life, your own learnings, your own perspective. And today with us is Derek Pang, a very interesting bio. He's a lifelong athlete. First starting off as a hockey and soccer player in his youth, and then for over a decade an avid martial artist specializing in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai boxing. He's passionate about health and fitness. Derek was first introduced to yoga in 2010 after sustaining a severe traumatic brain injury, which left him in a coma for 3.5 days, scary, and required him to take a considerable break from martial arts training. Accustomed to a lifetime of regular daily athletic activity, his search for an alternative physical challenge during this time led him to his discovery of yoga. The ensuing years of regular practice and consistent dedication helped him not only rehabilitate his brain injury, but also served to elevate both his physical and mental conditioning to optimize levels. Years later, Derek has not stopped practicing and is now a Nosara Yoga Institute trained yoga teacher, Academy, a certified fitness trainer with over 2 decades of teaching experience. A passionate agent of positive change, Derek has recently created the Hero Project, a school-based mindful breathing, mobility, and movement initiative, and is a member of the Manitoba Brain Injury Board of Directors. Derek, most impressive bio. First off, how comfortable are you kind of talking to us about what led to your brain injury and how that impacted you and led you to your next stage of journey in terms of physical activity and such?
Yeah, let's dive right in.
So please tell us what happened that led to you being in a coma for 3.5 days?
So, well, that happened in May 2010, but we'll just take it back a little bit and see kind of how we got there. I am a mixed martial artist. My specialty is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I also train kickboxing, Muay Thai, and I've been doing that for over a decade now. When I first got into the sport, is my dream and intention to become a professional fighter. And that led me to a series of concussion problems. Growing up as a hockey and soccer player my whole life, always an athlete, I'm used to getting injured, whether that's a puck to the ankle, a big hockey check, or a kick to the shin, whatever it may be. And as an athlete, especially in the culture that I feel I was raised in, you just get back on the field and tough it out. I didn't understand in 2010 that you can't do that with a concussion. Thankfully, concussion awareness is becoming more and more prevalent, and I want to be a part of that movement. But at the time in 2010, I didn't realize how bad it was. And it got really bad to the point where the doctors put me on medical leave. I had a really severe concussion. I was very sensitive to light, noise, just very moody, angry, nausea right after the concussions happened. And I was put on that medical leave. And during that medical leave, I went up to my martial arts coach and I said, I don't know what to do with myself. I've grown up my whole life playing sports, being active. That was my identity, being an athlete. And now I have to sit on the sidelines for a month and do nothing. This was my first really major injury. And just right by sitting there was one of my training partners, Lance Cartwright, and someone I looked up to. He was a professional fighter. He said, "Why don't you join me for a yoga class?" And I said something that always piqued my interest. But I never had the courage to go alone, especially in 2010. It wasn't very prevalent for males to do yoga. It was more like a female thing, which is interesting. And I also want to be a part of that change. getting more males attending to their self-care, their mental health through yoga and meditation, etc. But he invited me to a Bikram hot yoga class. And I don't know, are you familiar with what a Bikram hot yoga class is?
I am not.
So that style of yoga is a set sequence. So it's 26 postures. It's done in a hot room, which is heated to 105 Fahrenheit or 100 or 40 Celsius. And the humidity of the room is 40% humidity. And it's for 90 minutes long. You're under bright lights. There's mirror in front of you, mirror to the side. It's very intense. And I remembering at the end of the class, I was like laid on the floor, like covered in puddles of sweat. And I was like, what the heck? Like, are you joking me? Like, this is yoga. It was the hardest physical thing I've ever done. Hardest physical thing, hardest mental thing I ever did. I couldn't believe it. I went home that night and it was the most peaceful, most calm I've ever felt. So I thought, I need to get back there. That broke me down to my knees. But I feel amazing now. What is this? And so I went back and I got a 1-month pass and I went regularly for a month, and it was really great. It was really helping me heal my brain, helped me heal from my concussion. Shortly after my month expired, I got a 10-class pass at the studio. I did a couple classes, and then I was out at a bar and I got assaulted randomly by a gang. I got hit in the head with a cue ball, I fractured my skull, and then I got stomped, attacked by the group. And it was the closing time at this dive bar, and there was no security around. And what happened is I suffered a severe traumatic brain injury. I was in a coma for 3.5 days, and I had about a week retrograde amnesia after I woke up. The moment I remember recalling, like, back to reality, I had to set some really profound realizations. A couple of them are what is important in life is not what I thought was important before. What I thought important before was all the external. So how you look, what you own, the social ladder you're climbing, being concerned with social media, all that external. I realized when I was strapped down in my hospital bed, because whenever I woke up prior to that week, I thought I didn't know where I was. I tried to escape. It's very intense. I realized that external is not important. What is important is who you love. And I later learned that should include most importantly yourself. So who you love, most importantly yourself, who love you back, and doing good onto the world, being that change. So when someone is laying there on the floor, you're going to pick them up. You're not going to beat them when they're down. And that's just an analogy for being that change, being that positive shift. I also had a pretty immediate sense of forgiveness and a realization that if I didn't let go of this anger, this woe is me attitude, the only person that would be losing would be me. The people I'm blaming, I wanted them to get theirs. Why did they do this? Like, why did this happen to me? Those thoughts, the only people that affects is myself. And the people that I care about, the people I surround myself with, those people that assaulted me, they are living their lives. They may be out on a vacation somewhere, having the time of their life. But me holding on to that grudge, that anger, that why me, wouldn't serve me. So I let that go. And forgiveness has been a big part of the path to healing there.
Yeah,
and forgiveness is something we could all do.
That's I want to just back up for a moment, and because you've had this moment in time with this major epiphany that's life-changing through a traumatic event.
Yeah.
And yet our past influences us so much to where we are today. What was it prior to this traumatic event that you feel was essential, that contributed to who you are today, that would, good or bad, that kind of impacted you?
In the short term, definitely it was, or in short sighted, the yoga, for sure. So me having practiced that yoga 1 month prior to this severe traumatic brain injury while recovering from my concussion gave me a tool, gave me a comfort, so that when I was cleared to return to physical activity, I was able to turn to yoga because I had that tool on my tool belt already. And that's a big lesson that I learned on my path ahead, which we will get into, is the more tools we put on our tool belt, the more self-care tools we put on our tool belt in good times prior to traumatic incidents. And it doesn't have to be a brain injury. That can be a breakup, a death, getting fired, a car accident, a loss, whatever. One thing that is certain in life, we will all experience lows. So the more tools we get on our tool belts, when we're healthy, when we're aware, the better we are equipped to deal with adversity and the more resilient of human beings we could become. So for sure, the yoga, establishing that self-care habit, health, and then but also very important is family and friends. So having my family, friends, coaches come visit me in the hospital, it made me realize how lucky I was to have what I had, to have that support, that people caring about me, because I could see someone in different circumstances where this happens to them and they're laying in the bed all alone and no one's coming to visit them. That's very, very little hope there, especially if they haven't gathered tools, self-care tools, where they can look after themselves on their own.
How when you think about your younger days and your involvement in martial arts, how has that impacted who you are today?
Well, it's interesting. When I wanted to get into martial arts in the first place, it was all for external reasons. It was all the ego. So I wanted to become a professional fighter because that's the most masculine thing to do. That's the cool thing to do. That's the alpha thing to do. That's going to bring you money, fame, notoriety, women, all that external. And that was a lot of the motivation before. And then why I practice martial arts now is for many different reasons. Some of the reasons are the same. The physical exercise being number one. Physical activity is the most powerful thing we can do for our brain. But the reasons I train now are for the community, for mastering a skill, for self-confidence, for interesting. I love what I'm learning. And now with over a decade of experience, I also love teaching others and mentoring others and being that change, being a leader. I realize what is important, and that doesn't have to be martial arts. Those concepts can be applied to many other fields.
Yeah, you're so right on that. Our internal motivations are, whether it's extrinsic or intrinsic in nature, really dictate so much what we get out of an activity, an event, how we see ourselves, how we interact with others. It's fascinating where we start and where we really end up learning where the true value comes from.
Absolutely.
I was
just going to say, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and with the extrinsic rewards, those rewards generally are not right away. The intrinsics are always available to you in the present, in the right here and now, is where we should try to spend and occupy most of our time. And when we focus on the intrinsic reward, we can celebrate and delight in those always.
Mm-hmm. When I think about what has been most satisfying, it's not necessarily that anybody's ever noticed. It's just internally to me, recognizing that, oh, I'm really pleased with how that went, and then the sense of accomplishment, but more importantly, just the sense of contributing is really where the value is.
Absolutely.
I'm going to touch on the concussion. I grew up in an era as well where if you got your bell rung, the coach always held up two fingers and you always knew to say two, and then you went back out on the ice, or you went out on the field. How much do you think our society, culture in general, is shifting from that mentality of where you didn't admit that you were hurt to recognizing the importance of identifying, no, I'm not well? How well do you think we're doing as a society today on that front?
We're making progress, and I think we have to celebrate that, and I think we have to look at progress in all aspects of our life and celebrate that rather than be destination orientated. Can we be doing better? Heck yes. We could be doing so much better. But we are making progress, and that's something to celebrate. Why I believe we could be doing so much better is I talk to many professional athletes and hear stories, but not only professional athletes, generally any athletes, those competitive athletes that are going into fights or games concussed, whether that be because of pride or because they need the money. And we need to find solutions for that.
One of the things I've been personally struggling with, I'm a big fan of football. I love watching football.
Yeah.
I love playing football. And I'm struggling with the idea that teams go out and very violent physical game for my entertainment that's impacting their long-term health. What is your view on professional sports where there's a high risk of concussion, whether it's football, mixed martial arts, even hockey? What's your view on this?
That's their choice. That's the choice of those football players, those martial artists, to engage in those activities. And we have to allow people choice. That's the ultimate of our freedoms. What can we do is we can be the change ourselves. So if you don't believe in that, then don't watch it. Or if you want them to realize what is at risk, is get involved in that arena as such. And that's why I joined the Manitoba Brain Injury Board of Directors, so I can have a voice in that field. And I'm not telling people not to do football or not to do martial arts. Those are things I love as well. But I want them to be aware of the risks that are at hand. But not only the risks, what are some symptoms of having a brain injury? And knowledge that there are options we could do if we are hurt. So, as a lifelong athlete myself, I couldn't imagine what am I going to do with myself when I can't be physical. But what I learned as I recovered is there's so much more you could attend to. You could attend to your mental health with meditation, yoga, journaling, self-affirmation, relaxation exercise, gratitude. You could attend to your spirit by meaningful relationships, community, laughing, playing, continuously learning, reading books, educating yourself. You could attend to your physical body with proper hydration, nutrition, getting out in the sunlight, being active. There's so much things we could do to optimize our human being and our human potential beyond the physical. And it's showing these injured people or people going through difficulties that they're not alone. If you hit your head, if you get your concussion, it is normal to feel anger. It is normal to feel depressed. It is normal to have short-term memory. It is normal to lose things, show them all. It's normal to be impulsive. Will you be all of them? Maybe, maybe not. Will you be some? Maybe, maybe not. But it's bringing awareness to the consequences of that physical activity, getting hit in the head, of playing those sports, and showing them some alternate options on how they can heal and how they can prevent injury.
When you're listing all those symptoms, I was just thinking that's my normal state. I might be walking around concussed all the time.
Absolutely.
But
it's not only concussed, but we get knocked into patterns. So you're recognizing the patterns you're living your everyday, but with awareness of those patterns, you can start to shift. And they don't have to be big shifts. You don't have to change your entire identity. You do small shifts, moving towards creating new patterning, new normal, and that's a big thing.
Yeah. How did you, so I wanted to touch on that. You hit on one of the questions I wanted to ask you. You had a certain pattern of interests and you were able to make that shift. And you just a moment ago, you listed off a long list of alternative activities that people can engage in. How did
Yeah.
you make that shift yourself? How did you recognize that first off, I had a bunch of alternatives, and secondly, how'd you make it happen so that it became a common practice for you?
With action. I made it happen with action, and I came upon these because I needed to. My brain was broken. It wasn't where it was before, and I wanted to get back to where it was before. But on the path, I realized there's no getting back to who you were before, and that's not only for brain injury people. That's for anyone listening here. You're never able to be that person you were yesterday, or that a minute ago, a second ago. What is important is recognizing who, what, where you are in the now, and moving forward with choice, with action towards where you want to be, which you already are, if you just allow it to be.
So you're what you're really emphasizing here, and I think is incredibly important, is that around choices, that we have control over the choices we make. When we feel stuck, though, how do we help ourselves recognize that we actually do have, in fact, that power of choice?
We live in a great time where we have information at our fingertips. We have inspiration all around us. So it's reading books, listening to podcasts, surrounding yourself with people that inspire you, people that love you.
Who are those people? Who are those people for you, Derek? Who inspired you?
For me, who inspires me? I'm inspired by, I try to find inspiration in everyone. There is inspiration to be found in everything. And when we view the world through that lens, we see that. So that's what I try to view the world. I try to find inspiration in everyone, even like, oh, that person, there's something positive you could find in everything, you know? But so many people inspire me. My family inspires me. My coaches, my training partners inspire me. I often go travel around North America to go different conferences, especially in Austin, Texas. I've developed a second home there where I go train with the people at Onnit, which their mission is all about total human optimization, optimizing the mind, the body, the community. So I surround myself with people that are going for their win, that are that are enjoying the progress, rather than being caught up in that destination-orientated mentality where we're never satisfied. Because when we become present and enjoy the process, like, this is it, we're in it. What better can you ask than that?
One of the things that you touched on reminded me of something I had been told. For people who are really struggling, and whether that's through mental health issues or maybe tragic events in their life, just accomplish one thing to start your day, and something so simple as make your bed. And
absolutely.
And check. Now action resulted in an outcome, and then go from there. Your level of commitment to taking action, I think, is a very important message for people. Small steps. Doesn't have to be accomplish everything all at once. It's just that take a step, do something, build on it.
Absolutely. And that's what my whole Hero Project is. That's my breathing, mobility, and movement-based initiative that I have implemented in schools in Winnipeg and in Austin that teaches the power that we hold within of choice. And it's small steps like the power of your breath, the power of your posture, the power of a smile, and the most powerful of them all, the power of now. Being present. How do you become present? Bring awareness to your breath. Bring awareness to your posture. Bring awareness to your vibration, your smile. And those are changes you could do in the instant moment that change the way you view the world, that change the messages you're unconsciously sending to your brain via the autonomic nervous system.
Yes. Tell us about what's your experience? How do the kids react to your program?
They love it. They're experiencing that they can shape the way they experience reality. And if the listener, if they don't believe me, they try it and they see that it's true. Starting with the breath. So we could breathe one of two ways. We could breathe in our upper lobes of the lungs, which sends a signal to our brain that we're in a state of danger, distress, unease. So that activates the sympathetic nervous system. Or we could breathe nasally into our lower lobes of the lungs using our diaphragm respiratory muscle. And that instantaneously, those deep breaths, these deep, calm breaths, send the signal to the brain that I'm safe, I'm secure, I can rest, I can relax, there's no danger. So they see it. They understand the power of the breath. Wow. And then the next week, they learn the power of posture. How just like our breath sends a message to our brain, so does our posture. Our modern world has everyone hunched over, typing, texting, working forward, but that rounding of the shoulders is not only causing a lot of neck pain, spine pain from gravity constantly pressing down on our bodies, but that rounded, hunched over, small position is sending the brain that we're making ourselves small, and increases our cortisol and different stress hormones, versus shoulders back, opening the chest, exposing our vital organs because we're safe. And that lowers stress, that lowers cortisol. And then the power of a smile, how when you smile, it changes the way the chemistry being produced in your brain versus not. But I'm not, and I always remind the kids, and I'm not telling you to go around with a Cheshire cat smile all around the day, because that's really weird.
That is
but
weird.
You can smile with your eyes. You can smile with your eyes. You can smile with your heart. Even just choosing to put forth an intention of positivity versus being unaware or not changes the way you experience the world. And with those three knowings, with those three awarenesses, they can shape the reality. With those three awarenesses, they can choose to be present. They can choose to attend to the power of now. How do they become present? Bring awareness to your breath. How am I breathing? When you bring awareness to your breath, you become present. Bring awareness to your posture. Bring awareness to your vibration. And by attending to one, all four of those powers fall into place. Breath, posture, vibration, present. So so how do the kids like it? They're loving it. And we have tests. The kids fill out surveys before and after, as do their teachers, and the results are astonishing. There's improvements all across the board in terms of awareness of these concepts, but in terms of behavior in the classrooms, academic scores, stress levels.
What Hero, this is amazing work, Derek, and I think so important. I personally am a huge proponent of physical activity for students. It helps the ability to concentrate. You're adding a whole additional layer to that is as important, if not more important. What's one of your favorite stories of the impact of the Hero Project in the schools? Or is there one that you can share with us?
The impact is the kids like lighting up when they see me and excited to learn more. They're thirsty for this knowledge, and their brains are very meldable. It's easy to get these concepts into a young brain versus me teaching this to someone, I'd say, that in their 40s or 50s, because of, like you said, those patterns we've had in the past, that conditioning of not doing this thing. So we have to create new normals by putting in these positive reps. And it's a lot easier to create a new normal for an 8-year-old than it is like a 45-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Just by the negative reps put in those 45 years, and that unawareness in those 45 years.
What have you heard from teachers specifically about how it's made a difference for them in their classroom?
One great thing that I hear from teachers is not only it gives their students awareness of the power they hold within to attend to their self-care, but it gives the teachers an opportunity to attend to their own self-care while the kids do, because the teachers lead the breathing exercise, or sometimes the students, once they get familiar, they will lead these activities, these movement exercises, these movement breaks interspersed periodically throughout the class. It also gives the teacher some time to attend to their movement, their mobility, their stress in the middle of their workday. It's a really win-win for everyone involved.
We often start some of our meetings with breathing exercises as a group at work. And when it was first introduced, I have to admit I was a little hesitant, but it makes a difference. Your ability to focus, clarity of thought, the that just the calmness that is established at the start of the meeting that really improves our ability to focus as a group.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
I said absolutely, and this is research-based, the power of the breath.
Mm-hmm. Where does the Hero Project go from today? What are your plans for Hero Project?
My plans for the Hero Project is continue to introduce it into schools that are wanting to learn. I need to be partnered with champions of change, teachers and staff and administration that believe in this. Because what the Hero Project is me going into the schools to train the teachers, the staff, on how to implement this in their classrooms by role modeling this teaching to them in front of their classes and working with their children. But then I leave after my 4 weeks and giving them everything they need. They have all the breathing exercises. They have all the mobility, all the movement exercises, all the infographic information, videos of it all, written descriptions of it all, bonus written exercises, bonus art exercises, bonus guided meditation and relaxation exercises. This is all provided to teachers. But what I learned from my experience with past work of this such, you need to be partnering with champions of change, because you could give schools everything. I used to work for Adidas and Reebok for their nonprofit, Box, Build Their Kids Success Initiative, which is in over 1,000 Canadian schools promoting the profound impact of physical activity. And it was an absolutely brilliant program. It's funded by the Public Health Agency of Canada and Adidas. And they used to gift schools with over $250 of equipment, free shoes to all their trainers, tons of curriculum, tons. And from my experience, a lot of it just collected dust in the corner of a room because they weren't invested. So I'm wanting to partner up with schools and administration and teachers that believe in this and want to get involved. And that's who I've been working with. And that's why this project has had such a huge success. But these concepts expand far beyond the grade 3 and 8 classrooms. I teach professional development workshops for different school divisions, different organizations, where I talk about similar and topics and the power of choice, the importance of self-care. Just yesterday, I spoke to a school, it's grade 6, 7, 8. I was the keynote speaker, spoke for 45 minutes in front of 450 students and staff about just what we're talking about now, and just planting those seeds, holding no expectation, being the change.
Why is there a hesitation, or why isn't this maybe more widespread? What is our fear, if it's that, if I could phrase it that way? Why not have a wider adoption on mindfulness and our ability to really, get calm with ourselves and focus on our breathing and understanding the impact it is?
Because the new normal is scary. And I was forced to find the new normal because of necessity. But for those that are, and really, like, everyone should be working towards that new normal, constantly improving, continuous growth and learning. But as human beings, we like the known. That's why you often see and hear about people living in their hell, or whatever that may be, rather than doing something about it, because they'd rather be in the uncomfortable known than the comfortable unknown. Yeah. Because at least with what is known, they've done that before.
That's right. Yeah, and it goes to your point earlier. We have a power of choice. Take an action, build on that action, and knowing that you have control over it. Derek, I've got one.
Yeah, and having faith over fear. And often people are held back and anchored down by fear. And it's just having faith that by moving forward, you're already doing it. Like, this is it. We're in the progress, and what more could you ask? And moving forward and being that change.
What's one thing you want to challenge people with today? If to our listeners, what do you want to say to them and challenge them on?
Take action. stick to the basics. Over time, they're going to find their own rhythm, their own routine, their new normal. And it's not something that is just going to happen. You have to actively plan. You have to, like I said, take action and choose this. And hold yourself accountable, whether that be write that down on a paper in your calendar, use an app. I use the app Productive. Announce your plan to others, commitment buddies, take action, hold yourself accountable, and look for opportunities to practice this forward movement, this progress forward. And they're all around us. Those opportunities are always, because as I said, that forward movement can just be bringing awareness to your breath, bringing awareness to your posture, bringing awareness to your vibration, bring awareness to, are you present or are you not? And just understanding the importance of this. And because if you don't see it as important, then no matter what you do, it will not work beneficially.
And one of the things that you did,
and remember,
one of the things that you did, Derek, that I think is so impressive is that you sought out people who could support and reinforce the actions that you wanted to take and the difference it made for you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And if you can't, and if you cannot do that in person for whatever reason, because you have a family to take care of, or you're stuck in this place, or you have to work all the time, you could always pop in a headphone, or you could always read the book on the way to work, or you can look for inspiration in all the people around you. Because remember, this is all an active choice. Let's remember to treat it as such. But we live in a very fortunate time. There's opportunity all around. We are in abundance if we choose to see the world through that lens of abundance.
Derek, on that note, I'm going to close out. I think that is just the most excellent way to end our conversation. You are a fascinating person who's overcome traumatic events and are an inspiration to so many people. So thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on.
And you have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.